A very to our guest of the day, Dr. Professor, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor H.L. Verma, Registrar Mr. Tanmay Patel, Deans of the Faculty, HODs, my and all the dear participants who all are there connected on this platform. So I convey my thanks to all of you for joining today and wishing all of you Women's Happy Women's Day on behalf of entire Jagannath University fraternity as convener Women Development Cell and on behalf of all the gorgeous everyone. So on this occasion, our Women Development Cell has organized a webinar. As we all know that every year March is designated as International Women's Day, and basically it's focused to establish and to celebrate women, to raise awareness about women's equality and many other issues. Many significant activities are organized and witnessed throughout the globe, but at times I wonder and feel that why the need occurred to designate a day for women who are almost 50% of the entire population in the world. I was reading somewhere that 62% of the women say they don't have time to find out about their health in a survey conducted by Medtronics Limited. So there are many such issues, and I personally feel when I connect to other women, when I observe, when I see in my environment, that this is the basic thing most of the women talk about, that they don't get time to take care of themselves. So there are so many things. Then I would like to come on to the theme, the campaign for International Women's Day 2021. The theme is Choose to Challenge. I found it very, very relevant theme because I personally believe unless we challenge things, we cannot change, whether it is the individual, whether it is the environment or surroundings, the situations, the happening. First thing that we need to identify, we need to accept, and unless we challenge, nothing can be changed. So, Jagannath University is supposed to have a webinar on, again, a relevant theme, which we believe that this is something very important to be discussed. International Women's Day, its relevance in Indian perspective. So, for this, we have amongst us a very renowned person, Professor Richa Tawar, who's been former director of Women's Studies Research Center, Kurukshetra University. So, to talk about Dr. Tawar, when I was reading her profile, so I just found that she's been doing a lot and lot about this women-related issues. So prior to that, if you talk about her education, that she's always, I think she's proven to her own dreams. She's been gold medalist at master's level. She's been in the merit list, university merit list at graduate level, and many more things. The most fascinating, which I found, was that at present, she is the member of UGC National Consultant Committee of Capacity Building of Women Managers in Higher Education. Then she is member of Core Committee as Coordinator North Zone of UGC Program Capacity Building of Women Managers in Higher Education. She is Nodal Officer of Women's Cell of 400 Colleges of Haryana. She is member Advisory Committee Center for Women's Studies, Delhi University. Member Advisory Committee, Women's Studies Center, Allahabad University. Member Advisory Committee, Women's Studies Center, Banaras Hindu University, Member Advisory Committee, Women's Studies, Punjab University, Chandigarh, and many more. And regarding her publications, I found that one of her recent publications also talks about the same theme which we have chosen for today, Women's Studies in India, a Review. Apart from that, she's also written the articles on dowry, a North Indian perspective, Women in Haryana, a statistical review, recognition and elimination of sexual harassment in institutions of higher education. Then she has had a lot of partnerships and collaborative research projects also. Apart from that, she's also given gender training. She's organized workshops for many government functionaries, universities, college teachers, police and media personnel, NGOs, World Bank scheme, UNIPA, UNESCO, British Council Division, National Commission for Women, and many more. So, not taking much of the time, first of all, I would like to congratulate you, ma'am, on doing so much of work for women. We are really proud of you. So, I would now request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Verma, to for welcome address.
So, thank you, Professor Vaishali Sharma. It is a great day that Women Development Cell has taken to organize webinar and by some other activities on the campus on this International Women Day 2021. Now, while congratulating the Women Development Cell of the university, I will like to extend warm welcome to Professor Richa Tanwar, who agreed at a very short notice to be the chief guest at the inaugural function of today's webinar. Dr. Vaishali Sharma has just gave a background of Professor Richa Tanwar, the work she has done in the field relating to women empowerment, and I'm sure we could not have a better person than Professor Richa Tanwar to be the chief guest at this occasion. So I congratulate you, madam, for doing such a lot of work, and you are still active at different forums, and this is a very important issue in the society, that half of the population of the world is woman and the whole of the world. So that is now becoming conscious about this issue, and this today's International Women's Day is celebrated throughout the world. So it is our pleasure that we are welcoming you, and we will be able to listen to your expert views on the subject. Now, as far as my understanding goes about the International Women's Day and the subject which we have taken for discussion today, that its relevance in the Indian perspective. So I would like to share, because from internet, from other sources, I have tried to collect some information that International Women's Day, it is not all about feminism. It has its background in the labor movement. It is now a century old, that since 1911, this day is celebrated throughout the world. that because of the exploitation, because of the, you can say, discrimination at the workplace. So with that background, this consciousness started that half of the population is not getting equal opportunities, equal rights. So in that context, now at present, whole of the world, so 8th March is the day on which the International Women's Day celebrations take place. So Jagannath University, which was established in the year 2008 as a private university under Rajasthan State Legislature Act. So we are also here since its inception. We have different cells and we have this women development cell also. So they are quite active, and today they have taken number of initiatives that in addition to this webinar, some other activities are also going to take place on the campus. So our organizing team also deserves appreciation. Now, if we look at the things in Indian context, India's situation is different. India is a unique nation. We are a large size population. Now at present, it is estimated 138 crores of people in the country. And we have our own culture. We also claim that India is the richest heritage, oldest culture in the world. We have our own socio-economic realities. So in that context, if we look at the things that are relating to woman equality or rights, so 6 factors generally so are taken as responsible that why the woman, so they are not getting the equal opportunities or equal rights. So those 6 factors that include poverty, number 1, and number 2 is illiteracy. That is the second factor. Third is lack of employment opportunities. And fourth is the social customs, beliefs, and practices. And fifth one is social attitude. And last, sixth factor, that is the lack of awareness among the women about their rights. Now, if we look at these all 6 factors, now regarding poverty, we always talk of that poverty is a serious issue in the country. Even at present, as per the data available, 40% of the Indian population, so that is below the poverty line. So it is a serious issue. And the issue is more serious among the women, that out of those who are below the poverty line, 2/3 are women. So poverty is more prevalent among women. That is why they are not getting the, you can say, economic opportunities or economic power. So that is one very serious issue. So poverty is more serious in case of women as compared to the men in the country. Now, second issue in the Indian perspective, so that is illiteracy. Now, illiteracy is again a very serious issue at the national level. 1/3 of the population, even today, so that is illiterate. And 2/3 of the illiterate people are women. So regarding education, now trend is changing. More and more girls, they are coming to the higher education institution. They are getting education. They are also entering into the corporate sector, but still at the ground level, particularly in the rural areas. So illiteracy, when a person is illiterate, means that person is not able to understand his or her rights and the other framework which is available. So can't distinguish between good and bad. So ultimately can be exploited. So illiteracy is the second factor. Third is lack of employment opportunities. Unemployment is a serious problem in the country. And unemployment is more serious among the women as compared to the men. So again, the data says that 2/3 of the unemployed people are women. So they are And further, those who are even in employment, so there is a conflict between the professional responsibilities and the domestic responsibilities, because our social system structure is such that always there is a conflict in between the two. So employment opportunities are less available, equality is not there. Certain type of jobs still we find are, it is considered that women are not uh, fit or capable to perform their roles effectively as compared to the men. And fourth issue in the Indian context, which need to be seen, that is the social customs, beliefs, and practices. Now, even still, even in this 21st century, which we say is a knowledge economy, all over the world has changed. But even then, we find that women are considered to perform subordinate role to the men. Their role generally we find even in the organizations or at home also. So they are considered to perform the sportive role. So line responsibilities still remain with the men, and their role remains. Even in the panchayat system, we find that sarpanches are women, but actually the work of as a sarpanch is done by the male member of the family. So that type of situation. So still there are, you can say that is because of our social customs and practices prevailing. Social attitude is also another issue, particularly in the rural areas. Still, it is considered that women to remain within the four walls of the house and to remain confined to the domestic activities. So that type of attitude is there, and it need to be changed. And the sixth last point in that context factor is that is lack of awareness among the women. Even we have a constitution, Article 15 of the constitution prescribes that no state can discriminate on the basis of sex or gender, but still majority of the women are not aware about all these. What laws are there, what you can say provisions are there. So these factors ultimately result into that still, even in the current scenario, so still this discrimination continues, inequalities continue, harassment continues. So all type of domestic violence and other things, many issues are there. But in a civilized society, what is required, what is expected, that women, which are half of the population, they must participate, or they must get opportunities to participate in each and every activity where decisions are made. So that type of situation perhaps can be ideal. Even in politics, we find that at present, out of the 200 countries in the world, so only 11 countries where state heads are women. So even in parliament, since long, the discussion is going on that 1/3 seat to be reserved, but nothing has happened. So there in leadership, so there are, you can say, obstacles. There are because of many things. So it is in that context that this Women Day celebration. So it helped to understand the issues and to create awareness among the masses that women deserve better than what at present the system is able to provide. So with these words, once again, I welcome all the participants who have joined this webinar, and Professor Richa Tamar, who has done a lot of research work in the law, a lot of publications also. So we will be able to listen to her. So once again, on behalf of the university, on my own behalf, madam, we welcome you. And it is our pleasure that you are with us today. In spite of your, I know today you might have many other engagements. So you have taken time uh, uh, and we are grateful to you. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. So, not taking much of the time, I would request Professor Richa Thavar to kindly deliver her address.
Good morning, friends. Thank you very much for very, very kind words, Professor Verma. I'm actually very happy to join you because it was a dear friend, Professor V.K. Agarwal, who made a request that I should be addressing your Women's Day celebrations. And one cannot refuse a dear friend in any way. And I'm also very happy that Jagannath University is celebrating International Women's Day on a very relevant theme. See, the theme is so relevant and it pertains to the entire nation, to the entire society. When we say that what is its relevance, what is International Women's Day, and what are women's issues and how are they relevant in the Indian perspective, we need to look at it in a very wider perspective. You see, the entire issue of women's marginalization, their subordination, or you could say that they're not able to contribute to the country, to the nation. It is an issue which is of vital importance. Very often, people say that it concerns only women. It's a human rights issue. Undoubtedly, it's a human rights issue. And women who, as you said rightly, Professor Verma, constitute nearly 50% of the population, they need to, be part of the mainstream. But apart from being only a women's issue, it is also an issue which actually contributes to the progress of the nation. India is a developing nation. And what is the development of definition? What is the definition of development? At one time, it was infrastructure development. We talked about having roads, hospitals, industry, green revolution, white revolution. We talked about so much of scientific endeavor taking place, institutions coming up, universities, colleges, schools. But if you look at the wider definition, it is not just infrastructural development, it is human resource development. So unless that 49% of India's population, with the huge human resource that we have, unless they are able to contribute, our nation cannot be called. We cannot go on the path of development. Because, as you said, that their entire life, their potential, their special values, the special contribution that women can make, if they do not get that opportunity, no doubt that women will suffer, but the country's progress is bound to suffer. If you look at the past 75 years since we gained independence, it's going to be nearly 75 years now. We have made huge progress, whether in terms of education facilities, healthcare, basic necessities. We have good metal roads. We have clean drinking water. The per capita income has gone up. We have better lives for men and women. But at the same time, if you look at the social indicators, we have not been able to make sufficient progress. And that is where my concern lies. That if you had good hospitals or you had good facilities, those regions are going in for sex determination tests. If you had good metal roads, instead of having a good connectivity, girls are moving out of their homes, going for education, but at the same time, you see the crime against women which is going on. The kind of crime that has increased over the past, say, 2 decades or 3 decades was unheard of. I'm sure I don't need to give you the data, the statistics. Every newspaper, every day is carrying the kind of crime that is going on. That is because women are stepping out of their homes. They are going for work, they are going for studies, and their parents are actually encouraging them and supporting them. But what about the society? What about the mindset? We have honor killings despite women being educated. We have the caste structures which have become more rigid than they were earlier. Even today, if you have a girl who is married out of her caste, or even in some particular gotra, there are cases of honor killings. The states of Punjab, Haryana, UP, Rajasthan. They are notorious for all these things. And the least said is the question of dowry. The more the educated a girl is, the higher is the price of dowry. The cost of dowry goes up because an educated groom, a well-employed groom, is required. I have cases of parents saying that I don't want to educate my daughter further. I don't want, she's very bright undoubtedly, but how will I manage a big dowry for her? Because if she's a doctor, I will have to find a doctor who's a doctor. And so there are so many things, so many issues which are related to this. If you look at the health indicators, the National Family Health Survey, the latest one, says that more than 50% of our women and girls are anemic. And that is also in states which are very rich with food grains, milk, fruits, green vegetables. They are plentiful available, and there is a wide gap between men and women. Professor Verma spoke about employment, a very core issue. You see, according to the periodic labor force survey 2018-19, female labor force participation rates among women aged 15 and above are as low as 26.4% in rural areas and 20.4% in urban areas. Both the supply and demand factors contribute to the low levels of employment among women, and especially, like you mentioned, the burden of domestic responsibilities, including the reproductive roles played by women, coupled with the lack of adequate and appropriate job opportunities. You see, various studies have shown that women are willing to be employed. During the course of my field work, my training with rural women, I have found that groups of women are willing to be employed, they are educated. And it negates the argument that cultural factors keep women from working outside the household. It is also seen that unemployment rates, that is those who are seeking employment but not finding, are highest among women who are educated up to the secondary and higher levels. That is the paradox. You will find in groups of women in every village, in every kasbah, every small town, numerous graduates, postgraduates, even engineers who are actually wanting jobs, but they don't have jobs. And I also must add to this that studies have also shown world over, including India, that when women are employed and they are gainfully employed, they actually contribute meaningfully to the family. The family will have better living conditions, their children will be better educated, better health, and also the mindset of the family will be different. See, because if the mother, who plays a major role in the socialization of behavior of the family, especially of the children, a positive impact is there. And it has also been seen even in the unorganized sector, even in the agricultural sector, that even a daily wage woman will contribute 100% of her wages to the welfare of her children and family. And that is one issue which is so very important. Then there is another issue of the problem of much of women's work not being counted as work. When you ask a gentleman that what does his wife do if she's not working for a wage or for a salary, the answer would be nothing. But is that true? The All India Time Use Survey 2019 shows that the disproportionate amount of time women spend on unpaid activities, much of which is not accounted as economic activity. For instance, over 80% women participated in unpaid domestic services for household members, spending on an average 299 minutes a day compared to 26% men spending on an average 97 minutes a day. So the responsibility of the family actually is with the woman. And even for women who are in the workforce, the nature of their employment is such that most of them are out of the purview of labor laws. When we talk about harassment, we talk about equal wages, it is a minuscule percentage of the women population who are in the organized sector. And therefore, it is very, very difficult to protect their rights. And apart from that, they will not have any fallback. They will not have daycare centers, no creches, no health facilities. no nutrition which is given to them, because they are moving, they are migrants. I have tried my best in so many cases that there is a Bihari labor, वो बिहार से आया, आधार कार्ड तो बिहार का है, अब यहाँ पे उसको बच्चों को स्कूल में एडमिशन नहीं मिलेगा. Why नहीं मिलेगा? Because they give those midday meals and the person doesn't have Aadhaar card of Haryana. I know this is, the government is trying to change these things, and they are making a pan-India, beneficiary program, which I think would be very good. But there are so many things which keep those women away from various schemes. For example, they'll have widow pension, old age pension, because of so many factors. And then at least 53% of women workers are in the self-employed category. And the majority of them, like you said, are not at the top. They are the helpers. And among the regular employees, 2/3 of the women workers have no written contract. They are not eligible for any paid leave, no social security, no pension, nothing. And the average earning, for example, in 2019-20 was 4,990. So you can understand that what a pittance this is. Apart from this, if you look at decision making, before I come to decision making, Professor Verma mentioned something about feminism. It is one of the most misunderstood terms of the generation, not century, I would say. People say, I am concerned for women. I'm not a feminist. What is feminism? Feminism is a concern for women, concern for women's status, for their issues. For example, if Premchand wrote about the plight of widows, he was a feminist. If we have people writing, researching, talking about, writing stories, literature, media, anyone who has any concern for women's issues, one is a feminist. Therefore, I would like to say that we need to understand that it is not just women understanding that, you see, women already understand their position. If we have panchayat leaders, if we have panchas, sarpanchas who are women, and they are not able to contribute, what is the reason? They already know the reasons. They don't have any support structures. For example, during our research, which I have done quite a lot in my 40 years of work in this area, when you would ask them कि आप क्यों नहीं जाते पंचायत की मीटिंग में, आपके पति जाते हैं या आपके पिता जाते हैं, भाई जाते हैं, बेटा जाता है, आप क्यों नहीं जाते, तो वो ये उनका जवाब ये होता है कि मैडम हमारे पास और बहुत सारे काम है, हमने बच्चों को देखना, हमने खाना बनाना है, हमने बुजुर्गों को देखना है, हमने गाय भैंस की काम करना है, बहुत सारा काम है जो हमें करना है. And men are relatively free, they can find time and they can go. So unless that support structures are there, and I also must say that it's not that they are not aware of the issues concerning women. They are absolutely aware of them. They know that what are the local issues, that the schools are not working well, the primary health center doesn't have a regular doctor, they know that the connectivity of roads is not there, they know that the various Anganwadi workers are probably not delivering. They are aware of everything, because when we go for training, when we talk about various issues, it is never that they are not aware. Even in regions like Mewat, which has a large population of Muslim women who are in Parda, they know that the problem of brackish water is there. They know that their girls are not being sent to school. They know that they have large size families, and hence they are not able to look after their families well. So it is not that the women are not aware. एक अनपढ़ औरत जिसको हम सोचते हैं कि एक्सपोजर नहीं है, उसको कोई मालूम नहीं है, वो स्कूल कॉलेज नहीं गई है, लेकिन बेसिक कॉमन सेंस उनको सबको. Therefore, it is just that we need to, and when I talk about feminism, I also say that it is patriarchy. पितृसत्ता, ये पितृसत्तात्मक सोच है कि हम ये सोचते हैं कि जो पुरुष है उसको समझ ज्यादा है, इसलिए वो कंट्रीब्यूट कर सकता है, चाहे वो घर में हो, परिवार में हो, चाहे बाहर हो. और वो जो पेट्रियार्कल सोच है वो प्रेफर करती है सब डिसीजन मेकिंग. अब जब हम ऑनर किलिंग्स की बात करते हैं, जब हम भ्रूण हत्या की बात करते हैं, हम ये कहते हैं कि महिलाएं महिलाओं की दुश्मन है. कई बार हम ये बात सामने आती है. लेकिन फ्रेंड्स, आई वुड लाइक टू क्लैरिफाई दिस वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इश्यू. Women themselves have internalized patriarchy to such an extent that they become agents of patriarchy. कि मेरे मन में भी एक महिला होते हुए ये सोच है कि अगर मेरा पुत्र नहीं होगा तो मेरी कोई परिवार में कोई स्थान नहीं होगा, और जो मुझे पावर अथॉरिटी एक पुत्र की माँ बनने से होगा वो मुझे बेटी की माँ से नहीं. And that is the reason that women become agents of patriarchy, and then they transform the entire family. And that is the reason that we have to understand a very important thing. Why is crime against women going up so much? जिस तरह का crime, violence against women अब हो रहा है, शायद आज से 25-30 साल पहले सुना है. That is again a concept of patriarchy. Because एक लड़का अगर एक लड़की को ये सोचता है कि मेरे परिवार में तो अगर लड़की को पैदा होना भी अलाउड नहीं है, जब तक हम नहीं चाहते हम भ्रूण हत्या करके उसको खत्म कर देंगे, तो अगर रास्ते में चलती हुई मैंने किसी लड़की को बोला कि तो मेरे साथ चल या मेरे से शादी कर, और मैंने उसके ऊपर एसिड फेंक दिया, इट्स नॉट अ ग्रेट थिंग. Because women in their minds are only there as objects for the family. Very often I often hear, the sex ratio is going down. I'm raising up very critical issues. You see, normal issues hum sabko pata hai. So I want your mind to go down to critical issues. So very often it is said that, people will not take part in decision making. Women are not allowed into decision making. Where does it come from? It comes from within the family. तो कहते हैं personal is political. और वो डिसीजन मेकिंग पावर जब हम घर में नहीं देते तो वो इंसान बाहर में भी क्या सही है और क्या गलत है उसमें नहीं है. Therefore, it is very important that men, women, boys, girls be all part of the movement. Because जो socialization जिसको समाजीकरण कहते हैं, क्या सही होगा, क्या गलत होगा, क्या वैल्यू सिस्टम होगा, किस तरह से हम अपने आप को कंडक्ट करेंगे, वो सब परिवार से. बाकी इंस्टीट्यूशंस भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले करते हैं. समाज के बाकी इंस्टीट्यूशंस जिसको हम कहते हैं पिलर्स, whether it is caste, whether it is religion, whether it is education institutions, whether it is caste structures which are so rigid, ये सब चीजें, मीडिया, लिटरेचर जो हम देखते हैं उसका इम्पैक्ट बहुत आता है. हमारी किताबें, हमारी पुस्तकें जिसमें किस तरह का रोल दिखाया जाता है, बहुत से चेंजेस आ रहे हैं अब करिकुलम में. नहीं तो आपको याद होगा कि बहुत कहानियां स्कूल में भी पढ़ाई जाती थी कि वो बहुत पैदल गया वहां तक, उसने मन्नत मांगी कि उसका पुत्र हो, फलाना, ये so many things. So they then reconstruct those ideas. Or my mother, she's the one who's cooking and making tea, and my father is reading the newspaper. So these are, inbuilt structures which we don't realize how important they are, but they condition our minds. So we have to understand that women's contribution, our society हमारा बड़ा paradox है. हम कहेंगे ours was a nation which had a woman prime minister, a woman president. Our girls have gone up to NASA and they are doing very well. But these are very few, very important no doubt, but few role models. We need hundreds and thousands of more role models who can actually contribute well. There are some women punches and sarpanches who are doing well. There are certain scientists who are contributing well, but we need to have some more. This general, for example, the state is coming on very heavily with this Beti Bachao campaign, and I'm so happy that it is being done. But why should it be done? For example, in Haryana, they are very strict. So someone will go to Uttar Pradesh or will go to nearby other, some Punjab, and get it done. Still, cases are being done. So this malpractice is the general perception that a son is an economic asset and a daughter is an economic liability because of the high cost of marriage and dowry. And many women also say, when they are, you speak to women, when you ask them कि आप तो खुद महिलाएं हैं और आप क्यों चाहती हैं कि आपकी बेटी पैदा नहीं हो, अगर आप नहीं चाहेंगे ऐसा तो भ्रूण हत्या तो हो ही नहीं सकता, women की रजामंदी के बिना तो कर ही नहीं सकता. They say that it is that we are scared of the fate that their daughters will face, whether it is post-marriage because of various issues, domestic violence, or whether it is molestation, or whether it is sexual harassment, or unending demands of dowry because of the consumeristic society. So we are not very happy. And then they also say that we love our daughters, but more than that, we love ourselves. कि हमारा अगर 3 बेटियां हो गई और अगर चौथा फिर बेटी हो गई, तो हम, it is very likely that our family would say कि हाँ दूसरी शादी कर दो इसकी, ताकि क्योंकि although scientifically you know that X and Y chromosome, the Y chromosome comes from the male, but that is how our society, which is non-scientific. There is a need for a unified feminist understanding, keeping in view the cultural context of our region. Especially the North Indian region has different contexts. And for this, I always say that there are 3 main characteristics and strategies. First, we should spell out strategies with a multi-pronged approach to the problem which is gripping women. Multi-pronged in the sense that families have to be sensitized, the state has to play a very major role, the law machinery has to be effective. We also have to ensure that the political will of the people who involve women have a very fair mind. Then we must give equal opportunities in terms of education, employment. Secondly, it should incorporate questions and action programs unique to the Indian social structure. For example, after the mechanization of labor, a lot of women lost their jobs. Women were not connected. They were not qualified. And much of the feminist thinking on women's labor, access to resources and status have emerged from a different context than our own. And thirdly, the unified approach should outline the remedies cautiously, so that remedies should not actually themselves become the cause of new crimes. That is something for which we have to be very careful. Although a lot of amendments have been made to the laws, the Criminal Law Amendment Act came into force, and so many other things happened. But despite that, our machinery, the state machinery, the enforcement machinery has still to be sensitized. The collective change should strive for the redistribution of resources, restructuring of gender relations, restoration of decision-making rights, and subversion of cultural values. This would lead to an equitable and a just society. Persistence of extraordinary high levels of gender equality and female deprivation are, I should say, the states, that is, our Indian states, serious failures. It is also a fact that gender equality does not decline automatically with the process of economic growth. Very often it was said, ladkiyan padhengi, अच्छे employment मिलेगा, economically independent हो जाएंगी, so things are going to change. No, it doesn't happen like that. You see in front of you that more and more women are in jobs, more and more of them are actually at very good levels of employment and education, but at the grassroots, the concept of masculinity has not really changed. It is also a fact that we must aim for more radical and rapid social change based on public action. And one has to acknowledge that gender inequality is not only a social failure in itself, it also leads to other social failures. आप देखिए कि कितनी और चीजों को ये लीड करता है, families की क्या problems आती हैं, बच्चों की क्या problems आती हैं, lawlessness की क्या problems आती हैं, distribution of resources की क्या problems आती हैं. There is a growing awareness that the agency of women as a force needs to be recognized. Unless the suppression of women from participation in social, political, and economic life is not changed, the society itself will suffer. And I must also say that in this, the family plays a major role. It plays a very important role. It has the roots of subordination are within the family. It is only after this that we will have things like caste, religion, education playing a role. And this in turn, I again come to the structure of the family, the mother. The mother is well educated, she is reasonably well employed, she has a balanced state of mind, she's in good health, she's able to take care of the health of her children, her family. Things are bound to change. So friends, I must congratulate you once again for selecting a subject which is very relevant in the Indian context. That is, what is the need for women's concerns in our society? And I'm sure that with the kind of sensitive vice chancellor that you have and the women development cell that is functioning with number of activities, you will be doing a very good job and contributing to the society and the state. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So it was wonderful to hear from you, and the very particular, peculiar points which you have mentioned. So I love that particular thing when you said that when we talk of development, it should be not the development only of infrastructure, rather it is the human resource. So it's very true, ma'am. If human resources are not developed or evolved, so we cannot fully utilize the development of infrastructure as well. Then you said meaning of feminism. So I think, yes, many of us actually misinterpret the meaning of feminism, and the how nicely and how simply when you explain that it is simply the concern for females. So I think in family also, when there are fathers who are liberated or who actually take that equality and everything, so he has that concern for equal concern for both his children. Then whenever somebody talks about, so I think those who are listening here, who have joined here, would not impostor anybody as feminist or something like that. Then you said that the support structure is very, very important. And I actually truly agree with you that at the back of our mind, we have so many things, and we also take things on priority as family. फीमेल्स जो होती है उनको लगता है कि भाई घर के काम की सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट है, वो तो फिर हो जाएगा, कोई और देख लेगा. So I think this is something which she herself feels that nobody can substitute her. So वो जो आपने बोला, और दूसरा मुझे लगा कि वो जो एक आपने चीज बोली कि we become the agents of patriarchy. So I think this thought itself somewhere comes down from that patriarchal system. And lastly, I would truly agree with your this point that family plays a major role. Education system, caste, society, everything comes after that. So recently अगर हम देखें तो हमारे सामने ऐसे बहुत सारे एग्जाम्पल्स हैं. अगर हम, आई थिंक दंगल हम सबने देखी होगी. सो किस तरीके की सोसाइटी में इट वाज ओनली द फादर, and how he also initially his wife was not supporting क्योंकि उनकी 4 लड़कियां थी और उनको भी ये चीज थी, but how he took it. So here it completely says and talks about that particular thing which you are emphasizing on, that family. So yes, it has to come down from family, and both the people, male and female, have to actually take on this. I think इसीलिए UGC या सब जगह से जो भी बात आ रही है, it is talking about sensitizing for gender equality. So वो जब होने लगेगी शायद, तो हमें लगता है कि हम देखेंगे वैसे चेंजेस आ रहे हैं धीरे धीरे, but I think it will take many more years to come down to that kind of thing. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was really, really enriching and enlightening for all of us.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you for talking.
Now, I would request our Women Development Cell member, Ms. Swati Chaturvedi, to propose vote of thanks for the webinar today.
Ma'am.
Yeah.
अरे नहीं सर.
कोई बात.
I'm just extending to what Dr. Vishadi said. I hope a day comes when we don't feel the need to celebrate Women's Day.
Yes.
So, good morning, everyone. I am Swati Chaturvedi. I'm here to present the vote of thanks on behalf of students and staff of Jagannath University. It's an honor. I would like to thank our guest, Professor Dr. Richa Tamar, former Head Women's Studies Research Center, Kurukshetra University, for taking precious time out for us and sharing just a bit of her huge experience and vast knowledge relating to women. I'm pretty sure her words and persona have left an indelible mark on young minds and has inspired all women connected with us to step up fearlessly. Once again, I would like to thank our distinguished speaker for taking time out and being with us while we celebrate the valor of women. Thank you so much, ma'am. We were honored by your presence, and we would be further honored if you were able to visit us in our campus in future. I would like to thank our Vice Chancellor, Dr. H.L. Verma, for encouraging us to organize this webinar session. I would also like to thank our Registrar, Shri Tanmay Patnaik, and Pro-President, Dr. Vaishali Sharma, for being a constant source of inspiration. I also want to thank my learned colleagues and members of our IT team, our designing team, and staff members behind the scene who have really worked hard to make this event successful. Last but not the least, sincere thanks to our audience, students, staff, and guests for joining us. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.